Welcome to the Colac Herald's finals previews, guys. It's that time of the year where we've got baseball, football, netball, all in finals rounds, and we're just going to be having a look at the different sports over the next few weeks, giving our thoughts and previews. And so, starting off this Saturday in the qualifying round, we've got Lorne versus Alvie, guys. This has been a 1-1 record the two times that these teams have played during the season, and where are we leaning at the moment, fellas?
Yeah, I think it should be a cracking game of footy. Lorne, obviously, they're coming in with some great form. Obviously, had a big win over Simpson on the weekend, and so are Alvie though. They've been had some really good games. Had a great win against Beeac on the weekend. But I'm probably leaning towards Lorne. I think they've got a really well settled side. Obviously, the reigning premiers. So I'm probably leaning towards Lorne for this one.
Yeah, it's almost a bit unexpected seeing Lorne in this game. They've been top of ladder all year. You probably just expected them to have that first week off. So yeah. It's hard to ignore what they've done all the way up until this point, but I actually think that their form's not that good. If I'm all being honest, I just had a look back through there. They've lost 2 of their last 5 games. Alvie have won the last 5. Part of my mind's thinking back to last year. Obviously, Alvie finished top. Went out in straight sets. Does that play on there?
I think there'll be something to prove for Alvie,
Yeah, well, does that play in their minds? But they're now the chasers rather than the ones being hunted. I don't know if that has any effect, but I think that's interesting that they've going into finals with a little bit of a voodoo.
Something that interests me, guys, is Charlie McCartan. A few games ago, starting up forward, it does seem the last few games they've put him back further in defence. Does that maybe switch up with what Alvie posed defensively? I mean, I think that they've conceded the fewest points throughout the season. Do we think Lorne are going to need a bit more of a bite and attack potentially against the Swans?
I think their attack end's pretty strong. They've got James Hughes down there. I think he kicked 6 on the weekend. He's a pretty good focal point for them. So they have goal kickers up forward. I think that shouldn't be a worry for them. They've been able to kick big scores all season. But one for mine, Alvie's Glenn Strawn. He'll be back this week. He's a big player for them. He's really dominant on ball forward wherever they want to play him. So he's probably one to watch out for.
I think the one for Lorne is that they're probably pretty settled now. The Middleton boys, they're back in. Charlie's been playing in defence, and on the other hand of your point, Jamie, is that they got Dom Dare. Someone's got Dom Dare, so someone's got to play on him. So if you can back Hughes in to kick your goals, and it's a really nice point of difference that he can go both ends. He's not stuck down there. You can throw him forward late if you need a goal. But I think they'll be all right. The Dolphins.
There you go. Sunday's elimination final. We've got Irrewarra Beeac versus Birregurra. Irrewarra Beeac 12-5-1 on the season. Birregurra 11-6-1. Not too much to split these two sides.
No, and as we said, I think you said last video, Irrewarra, they're just kind of been a bit of a surprise pack. Like to get a draw against Ibs, no one's probably really expecting them to do this well, but they were obviously excellent on the weekend, and they're obviously a real premiership contender with a performance like that.
Yeah, it's probably a really good time for the two sides to be meeting. I was probably one of the people that maybe wrote off the Bombers after Mitch Thorne went down. What's life about without him? But they've gone and proven everyone that they're really competitive with the draw, and probably should have won against the Imps. And then Birregurra, we saw what they can do when they're fit and healthy for the start of the year. It feels like a long time ago now. It's a long season, but their best footy's right up there, and they've got David Neal at the wheel. He's proven to everyone that he's a super coach. So that's nearly the most interesting matchup for mine is those two. I think with there's a few Birregurra names to come back in this week. We're still sort of waiting for confirmation, but. That's a fascinating matchup for me.
Yeah, I mean, on what you just said there, there's names like Joel Hayward, Lewis Bryce, Lockie Cashman, Hutchinson as well. That's a name that we could see back in the side. It'll be a really, really interesting clash. I mean, I'm surprised that both of these matchups that we're previewing are 1-1. Now you look at it, it's almost like, right, even though Lorne have shown dominance and Birregurra early through the season, Irrewarra's late form, it makes it really hard to pick. I'm going to go with the Saints this weekend, finding a bit of form with returners, but that's my pick.
I think for mine, I think I'm going to go the Bombers. I think they've been playing some really good footy lately. Obviously, as you mentioned, no Mitch Thornton, but hasn't really slowed them down at all. I think they're looking really strong.
Yeah, well, I'm picking mine as we're thinking now that I can't really split them. I think I'm just going to go the Saints. If they get all 4 of those names back in, I think they'll be a touch too good. But shame we can't have a draw this weekend. Unfortunately, I'll go with the Saints.
There we go. Now having a look at the Netball guys, Saturday's qualifying final. Imps Alvie, defending premiers, hot start. I think it was 8 or 9 wins in the first 9 or 10 weeks. It's been a bit tricky through the back end of the season, but Alvie being boosted obviously last week with Ruby Bowers coming back into defence. But the Imps have just been a machine. Like Kiara Foster up front, I think it was Kelsey Jeffries the other week was saying, South Colac coach Kelsey Jeffries was saying, just anything you really throw at her, she's really good at adapting to. And for one so young, that's impressive. So it's going to be an interesting kind of clash from the Cats, goal shooter against Alvie's keeper. But who knows, guys? Where are we leaning?
Yeah, I think the Imps have been in pretty good form. They've had a great season, but I feel like you just can't write off Alvie with Ruby Bowers in their side. Like they just seem to be able to. I'm not sure what it is, but they can just win when she's playing. I'm not sure. It's obviously her playing ability is great, but I think she just lifts the team as well, just her being there. So she's going to be huge in for them.
Yeah, well, just looking at the ladder now, I was actually a little bit surprised to see that. They shared the same record in my head. Irrewarra, Beeac and Imps. They're the two standouts, but it doesn't really matter how you get them. If you get the wins on the board, you're there. They're both playing same court, both got the same opportunity. So. Yeah, it's going to be a fascinating matchup. I think I think you're right. Alvie with Ruby Bowers, it makes a real difference, and they're sort of ticking along nicely now.
Definitely, and Alvie still have that experience as well with players like Chelsea Hillman. She's been good throughout this season. If we're going to have to lean a certain way, I am torn. I think the Imps. Just strength throughout the season does make me want to go their way, even though Alvie are defending, that premiership, and maybe that gives them a little bit extra. But knowing that they've got that second chance, I don't think it'll play into their game, into their minds, in the weekend. But yeah, I think I'm going to go Imps this weekend. I think I'm going to go Imps.
I think I'm leaning towards Alvie. I think their finals experience is going to help them get the win. Imps have obviously finished second, had a great season, but in previous years, I don't think they have played finals for a few years. They've got a very young side, some young players in their side. So if that could play a factor. But
it's a great point.
I think the Swans will end up going on top there.
Yeah, you make a really good point. That the Imps. I'm probably going to lean towards them as well. I think that the strength of their season is too hard to ignore, and going to have to trust them, I guess, in finals until they prove otherwise. I think I'm going to go with the Imps.
There you go. And rounding out, guys, the elimination final is Birregurra versus South Colac. Again, another 1-1 season matchup. All these games that we're previewing, they've been split. So it does make these first round of finals, or this first weekend of finals, a bit difficult to pick. Obviously, Birregurra have been really well coached by Saskia Rowe, and every time we get to have a chat with her, she's super in depth. She's all over it. But South Colac, it was a tough start to the year, but they've really found some form. They've got players now qualified. They've got some depth, which is it could play a real big factor this weekend.
Yeah, as you mentioned, South had a bit of a slowish start to the season. There was a bit of a battle there, wasn't there, for a few weeks between who was actually going to finish fifth. But South, their recent forms are really strong, and they've really nailed that spot, made it theirs. But for the Saints, it's felt like they've kind of been a top 3 side all year. They've kind of been with that upper echelon of the Irrewarra, Imps, Alvie, Beeac kind of been in that with them, matching against them sides. So it'd be interesting to see, but I think the Saints will be looking to go a few steps further than last year as well. They made a semi-final, had one finals win after having not played finals for a very long time, but I think they'll be aiming to go a few steps further this year, and I'm pretty bullish on the Saints.
Well, Beth Sudhull, she's back for the Saints, and that's a big in, taking on Maggie Aldridge, you'd imagine, in that front court there. Maggie Aldridge, she finished 4th, I think it was, on the goal scoring list there. That's a really important matchup. I think I am going to tip towards the Saints as well. You said South have had a strong run of form. They've won games, but I feel like they've won games they should have. You want to tip, for me to tip South over the Saints this week, I'd want South to have won strongly and won by a bit more in those games. But that's the way I'm going to land. I'm going to go with the Saints. I think they're a really exciting packet.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I'm going to go Saints as well. I trust the work that Birregurra have done under Saskia Rowe, fine tuning week in, week out. I mean, she's very persuasive in the way where she's able to be like, okay, we look at each individual matchup, and I'm sure every coach does this, but the way she kind of talks about it, I think it's swaying me personally. I'm going to go Saints to top South Colac. Good luck to all the teams playing this weekend. It's an unbelievable first weekend of finals, and we are really excited to see what comes out of the results over the weekend.